I remember I won one thing from this character, that you get unique animations for your guard breaks, okay? You can do a bash, press the zone input, and it does 95 damage. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is Shigoki pre-CCU one-shot hug back in For Honor, baby. I think a lot of people who enjoy that mechanic or aspect of For Honor, you're gonna love this character. And for the people that didn't like that mechanic, you might be shit out of luck. You made it. Welcome back, you BEA beautiful souls. Sohei is the new monk warrior that we have, and he's gonna have a lot of weapons on him. But I will say that it's not what we expect. It's not what I expected. There's a few things that I did get when I asked for it, but you guys will see in this video. I'll be going over it. You'll see some gameplay with John Aligner in the background. We'll be doing some duels and all that good stuff, and then I'm gonna talk about what I think about the character, how it is in 1v1s and 4v4. And yes, to answer your questions, yes, he does have basically a one-shot mechanic in his kit. So pretty ridiculous. We're going back to pre-CCU for some reason, and Ubisoft is... I asked for something different and they delivered, okay? I should have chose my words carefully. Well, to be fair, I did, but I'm sure some people did not. So I hope you guys enjoy getting one-shotted. It's coming back, baby. It's coming back. Centurion cutscene all over again. Shigoki one-shot hug. Feeling super good. Shout out to Ubisoft for giving me early access. Much appreciated, guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. So these are his executions. This is one of his other ones for 7,000. A bunch of storm arrows are coming at your face. You just come up to him and stab him. The guy's super duper scared, and then you cut off all the arrows afterwards. And we're looking at the other perspective. It looks pretty good. I actually really like this. I honestly really love this because he breaks off the arrows. It's super duper badass. Really sick. This execution, it doesn't really feel like there's anything menacing or scary about it. I mean, it's called a mercy kill, but I feel like a mercy kill would be a very clean chop, you know? It's a very clean chop. This is painful. But the first one is really good, but the second one is not that amazing in my opinion. It's probably like a 5 out of 10. All right, so let's just quickly go over his entire moveset. This character is gonna be pretty interesting. Sohei has quite a different approach when it comes to combat. Now you have to decide whether or not to go for a specific style, and this is going to be quite interesting. I'll show you guys right here at this moment. So all of his light attacks are enhanced, so that's pretty good for him when it comes to neutral pressure. He also has a dodge bash as well, and then he can soft feint quite a few of his moves, except for his heavy finishers. You can heavy soft feint a zone attack. You know, I think it's just better to show you. As you can see here, I can fake that. I can fake that zone attack. His heavies are really, really slow here, as you can see here, and then he has a pin right here, which does 18 damage only, and you will notice that you can't chain after that. You can't chain into a light attack, but you can chain into a zone attack. So that zone attack, when you do a light attack, this will be your chain offense into a light attack again with an undodgeable top one. This top one is only undodgeable here. The other ones will not be undodgeable. As you can see here, it's just going to be a normal slash, just a normal slash from the other side. And I also like to keep in mind that these are 400 MS chain light attacks. So when I first saw this character, I was basically saying, oh wow, this reminds me a lot like Ocelotl. The mix-ups feel a little bit similar when it comes to the basic kit. You know, light into heavy, light into zone, into hyper armor. You can also do into this and go into your heavy mix-up afterwards. And another cool thing too is that when he does go into his mix, this side heavy is a bleed attack, so that's pretty sick if you ask me. I think that's a neat addition to his kit. However, I will say that it doesn't do that much damage, as you can see here. 15, 16. Actually, I think it only does 16 damage. That's crazy, 16 damage. These values might be adjusted later. We don't know if this is going to be the full representation of the kit at the moment. But as you can see here, this is going to do 18 damage. And this top one is going to do 20 damage. So that's going to be his highest dealing damage. And the reason why they deal so little damage is because of this. So the mix-up between this character is that if you get a GB, you have to do a zone attack to get normal damage. And this will execute. So this is 24 damage for a normal zone attack. So that's pretty good. Solid, you know, solid numbers. But there's a different option. So I did ask, I remember I won one thing from this character, that you get unique animations for your guard breaks, okay? And that is my light input, keep in mind. So try to think of this as Centurion punches. Now this one, however, is going to be my heavy input. He uses different weapons, as you can see here. He does use different weapons. And when you get all of those weapons with those red fire marks, you can do a bash, press the zone input, and it does 95 damage. 95 freaking damage. So if you get a guard break, you can either do a, let's just showcase it all the way. I'll just showcase you guys if you decide to not go for that mix whatsoever. So if you go for a dodge bash and they try to dodge, so you do 3 damage each. So that's about that's 9 damage and another 9 damage, and that's gonna be a total of 18 damage, right? 18 damage for 2 guard breaks. Realistically, you probably get 24 plus 24, and that's a much better deal. You get 48 damage in comparison to like 18. But the trade-off is that you have a threatening bash now, a very, very threatening bash. So anytime you get a parry or whatever, or a bash, boom, 95 damage. The threat of that forces you to play incredibly well. Okay, now the thing is that his light attack damage is not that good. I mean, look at that, 9 and then 6. 9 and 6, very low damage values. His playstyle revolves around landing these guard breaks. If you want to go for main damage, you just go for this into unblockable mix. But the thing is that his unblockable heavies don't deal that much damage. They don't deal that much damage at all, and you're kind of inclined to go for this type of mix-up. And I think that's an interesting playstyle. However, 90 damage, man. That's crazy amount of damage. Now, you do have to work for it. That's the good thing. You do have to work for it, and I will applaud them for doing that. But that's such a huge value, and it doesn't allow your opponent to basically make any mistakes whatsoever. And so one mistake cost them their entire freaking HP. And with the bash follow-up, you get a light attack, which deals 11 damage. You go into your chain mix afterwards. But as you can see here, it's a pretty interesting character. That's basically the gist of it. His forward light is also enhanced, and then his forward heavy, pretty much useless. It only does 16 damage and has horrible tracking. It's not feintable, but it goes near chain mix. But the thing is that you can't do you can't do a chain light attack after this. You can't do a chain light attack. You're stuck with just doing this or a zone attack. Not much to do about that. You can't even do a bash mix-up afterwards. He does have a dodge attack, as you can see here. A dodge attack from both sides, a dodge light and a dodge heavy. They're both going to be light parries. One's going to execute. One's obviously just going to do normal damage to get into your mix afterwards. You can just go into your mix. You can just do this, go into that. The crazy thing is that you have to decide whether or not to use your light attack or your heavy attack, and as you can see at the dodge attack right here, I can't use my heavy unblockable if I do a light attack. That's the very big trade-off when you go for this light attack. It might be harder animation to see, but if you're paying attention, shouldn't be that hard to parry. This heavy attack is a lot more telling, but you can go into your unblockable mix. But the thing is, with this one, you can't do a chain light attack, so you have to pick and choose which one you want to actually go into. So if you already have like all of your 6 souls, it's just souls, solid soul here at your service. So it's just souls. Once you acquired 6 souls, you can execute the person essentially, and this is going to be very strong for Dominion. I can promise you that much, because in Dominion you're going to have a crap ton of buffs to your kit. This character is going to be pretty annoying if you ask me, because just dealing this much damage is going to be absolutely hilarious and horrifying. Okay, so that's basically the entire kit. Like I said before, you can choose to go for just normal damage into your unblockable mix, but the thing is, this damage value is so low, and there's really no point on this doing bleed besides the fact that it does have a saw type weapon, and that's cool and everything, but there's no synergy with that aspect. And that's essentially the entire character. So if you don't actually know what attack you did last, or what soul you got from what side of the weapon, because when you parry punish, you get a riposte attack that you're supposed to use, and you need to remember what side it is, whether it's left, top, or right. Otherwise, you waste your turn or waste your chance on getting the soul to get your one-shot combo. This also revolves around your heavy attack inputs too and landing those heavy attacks. And so you do have to be thinking about it, otherwise your entire kit is not being used to the full extent. Alright, so for his tier 1 Eye of the Demon, target applies a defense debuff, so this is probably going to be a 10%, and that's a really good feat to use. I think this might be even better than Stern Stare, which is Griffin's tier 1, and it also might be better than Lawbringers, which reduces stamina. Griffin's reduces the attack. This is defense, so it'll make ganks really strong and give this character an edge in 1v1s. This one, Soul Soother, is going to be, so if you have all 6 of your bleed, or not bleed, your souls, then when you use this, you fully heal. So, but you have to get all of your souls first. So this requires a little bit of work to use your tier 2, but it does heal you all the way. Ancillary Might, this gives you an attack buff. I believe this is like a 15% attack buff when you have all your souls. So that means you're going to deal way more damage when you have all of your souls. Pretty freaking good. And then of course Soul Walker allows you to have all of your souls instantly, so you can go for your one-shot KO move if you wanted to. And with this and this one right here, and then of course reducing the damage or defense of your opponent, it all adds up and it deals about 145 damage. It's actually ridiculous, really powerful. So now that you've seen the gameplay, I think I want to talk about how he's gonna fare in 4v4 and just in general. Let's go over some of his good parts. I mean, the zone is a pretty good move. It is soft faintable and has little to no guard break vulnerabilities. I believe it's probably 100 MS. He gets fast lights, his neutral ones are enhanced, and the top finisher is going to be undodgeable. His hyper armor on his chain zone can be really good. I think it's going to be pretty good for team fights and going for trades and stuff, but the problem for this specific instance is that he's only going to be able to trade once, just like Jormungandr, and Jormungandr is not necessarily the greatest in team fights. This character is lacking some hitboxes when it comes to chain offense, besides just enhance his own attack. His neutral zone is going to be pretty good for initiating offense too, because it does do 24 damage for his zone attack and has a pretty decent hitbox from what I can see. He does have an infinite chain, so if people aren't parrying you, then they're just blocking, they're scared to parry your Tornum's light attacks and your zone attack. This is going to be good for you. You're going to do some chip damage, you're going to get a lot of light attacks in, and you might get all your souls, because if they do try to parry and you get a guard break, you're going to get your souls, and that's really good. He also has dodge attacks too to counteract forward dodge bashers, and you can choose between one of the animations or the other one, which is a light or heavy attack animation. So they gave him 2 different attacks, and that's crazy, you know, having 2 different variations. That's always a good thing, in my opinion. Another good thing is that technically he does have a roll catcher, but you know, his bash has pretty good range already. His neutral bash is pretty good in my opinion. If you can dodge on the forward movement really early, it's not going to be that big of a deal, but the bash itself is good because you can go into your chain offense. And that's really, I mean, I guess there's one more important thing that he does have going for him, is that his bash finisher, when you get all your souls, it does 95 damage. I almost forgot about that. I really did. That glaring issue. 95 damage combo. I mean, 95 damage hit after a bash. If you get parried, if you get guard broken, if you get interrupted, I mean, just don't get parried. That's all I have to say. So, of course, that is a pretty big plus for him. Let's talk about the bad. So, the bad is that finisher unblockable heavies on all sides are low damage. I mean, 16 damage on the left one, 18 damage on his right finisher, and 20 for the top one. These aren't even soft feintable either, mind you. You have to hard feint all of these. Low damage, low hitbox, so you'd rather... The thing is, you want to be either taking these to the face, because they're actually really low, but the bad thing is that he gets his souls. But the thing is, he has to land all 3 of these to get his heavy attack souls, and for his light attack ones, they're probably going to be the easiest one to get because they are 4MS light attacks, and most of them are not going to be reactable to 99% of the player base, so he's got that going for him. But the hard part about this kit is going to be essentially landing those finisher unblockables. But the thing is, you don't actually have to land those to get your souls. You can just try to check them with the parry, because if they go for a parry on any of your attacks, you can actually get the guard break and get your souls from the heavy input. Remember, you can get input, get the souls from your light and your heavy, and that's just 3 pokes in the face. This will be a lot harder to do in team fights and you don't necessarily want to be doing this. This is more of like a 1v1 thing. So if you're doing team fights, horrible idea. But the good thing is that his zone attack will just deal a basic 24 damage, and that's solid numbers, and it's not too slow. I believe it feels like 600 ms, and that's not too bad. Actually, it might not be 600, it might be 700 ms because it is feintable, and so that's a good thing. And the rest of the entire kit, when it comes to the undodgeable, you can probably use that when someone is trying to like external dodge you or something like that. But when it comes just to external pressures, you're just going to use your forward bash anyways. Forward bash or your forward light to get into your chain offense. But the thing is, you don't really have agency in team fights besides just target swapping your heavy attack, your chain zone attack. That's not even unblockable. It's just going to hit people. It's just going to add tags and maybe go for trades. The unblockable heavy finishers, they don't really belong in team fights because they have no hitbox. And the forward heavy is just, I feel like it's kind of pointless because one, it's not even feintable. It has no other properties. It's incredibly slow and it doesn't really have good hitboxes. There's tons of times where it just whiffs. It just whiffs and it doesn't seem that helpful. Probably just good for roll catching someone who is dodge rolling right away. You can react to that, do the move, and catch him, go into your mix afterwards. So that's also a good thing. Another thing I want to talk about for his moveset is his dodge attacks require you to choose pretty carefully depending on how many souls you have or which souls you've already gotten. And with that in mind, you have to decide which ones to use, because remember, the light attack, dodge attack, you are only able to go into another light attack or a chain zone. You're not able to do another heavy attack or go into your unblockable mix. So if you do a dodge heavy attack, you can't do a chain light attack, your 400 ms light attacks. You're opted to go for the heavy unblockable attack. And that's a bit of an interesting choice, you know. It gives the player some agency, and you kind of have to use your brain a little bit. You can't just spam it willy-nilly. Like a Hitakeru who just does a dodge attack and goes to a heavy attack afterwards because it's so safe. And I think that's a good and a bad thing. So it's going to be a boon and a bane. But overall, I'd say that's a good thing, to be honest, because it forces you to think. And in For Honor, we don't see any of that. I can guarantee you. Most of the For Honor player base doesn't use their brains. So that's a great thing. And I'd say when it comes to confirming that 95 damage punish, well, let's first go over the feats. The feats are ridiculous. The first one is gonna lower defense. Absolutely ridiculous feat. Really strong for tier 1. I mean, the other tier 1s that lower stamina and attack, powerful stuff. But this one is lowering defense, and that's incredibly good because we're in a gank meta right now. We're in a gank meta / team fight. And if you manage to 2v1 someone, they're gonna die because that 10% damage reduction is 10%. I mean 10% a debuff is gonna be really good. I swear to you, this is gonna be one of his best tier 1s. And of course, it's tier 2. Yeah, you basically have to have your tier 4 activated or get 2 guard break punishes with your light and heavies to get all your souls, and then you can heal all your HP. So it can be good. I feel like it's a bit situational, but if you're saving it for fights, I think the fighting someone who has all their souls already is going to be incredibly menacing because one, you can't get parried, one, you can't get bashed, and yeah, I mean, you essentially can't do anything except for make the right reads offensively. If he guard breaks you in any way whatsoever, like preemptively guard breaks you or parries you, this is going to be a nightmare. You're going to lose a crap ton of HP. 95 damage for making one wrong read. So that's a very big strength for him. It won't be. I thought about it being bad, but the thing is, this move is so fast. It's so much faster than Shaman's Bite. It's so much faster than Afira's like tier 3, where she flips you, goes around your neck, and puts her thighs all over your face, and then smacks you in the head afterwards. There's tons of time where I get interrupted with that, but with Sohei's, it's quite fast. He just grabs you by the neck, choke slams you like the Undertaker, and stabs you right in the penile area. That's basically what he does. It's pretty quick. It's really quick. And so I feel like this is going to be a non-issue, and there's going to be plenty of ways to confirm this. Granted, of course, you need to have your souls, but I don't really think it's going to be that hard to do in general because his bash mix is still going to be pretty good. People are still going to be trying to dodge that anyways, and so I feel like this is going to be a pretty strong tool in 4v4. For anti-ganking, I'd say this character is not going to be too bad for stalling. He's got the chain light attack. You're going to be able to easily start swap that, and the other person's going to have to try to react to that, and he can go into his infinite attack. So it's gonna be Chain Zone's gonna have hyper armor, which is gonna have pretty decent hitboxes, go into another light attack, and so that's gonna be really good. If you don't have like a Kyoshin or a Varangian Guard or maybe a Black Prior, even a Conquer, you're gonna have a lot of issues against this character, especially in matchmaking where not everything is going to be coordinated. Even I think against a coordinated stack, it might be a lot easier, I can promise you, because everything's a lot easier with your friends where you're communicating and you can rotate like correctly, just super important. But in matchmaking, I think this character is going to be pretty freaking good. And then of course his debuff is going to make him get 149 damage. And yes, a lot of characters have some pretty strong tier 4s, you know, Fire Blast, Astral Projection, which is Mejai's basically 70 damage hit, and with his tier 1, if he gets an execution, it becomes 77, I believe, 77 damage. That's basically a one-shot, and one, it does not feel good to get hit by this, I can guarantee you, at all. And I can get at least 2 or 3 of these in a game if you're pretty fast and getting a lot of renown because of rapid refresh, which decreases your cooldown for your feats. But with this move, you get it pretty much anytime you get a guard break, and so any guard break you get the one-shot mechanic. What do you guys think about this? Personally, I think it is fun for sure. I think it is fun as hell to one-shot your opponent if they mess up and make 2 bad reads, because I think a lot of Shigoki mains who miss the one-shot bug, where you just absolutely just troll around to 1 HP. The difference with Shigokis though is that you have to get to like a really critical HP to get that mechanic going, and it's kind of like your clutch potential. But with Sohei, you're more on the offensive, and I don't think it's that hard to get guard breaks in this game, because a lot of moves have decent unreactable mix, and so you can easily get 2 guard breaks within a game on any character whatsoever. Doesn't matter who you're fighting against. But then, now you're gonna be super duper oppressive with your bash, and you're not necessarily one-shotting, but with enough damage that you've already done, whether it becomes chip or just chasing someone down, if you get 1 heavy off him or a trade, he's gonna die within the next hit, I can guarantee you. I don't think I actually survived 1 time against these duels when I got hit by it, because they were chipping me down already. So that's pretty crazy in my opinion. I think that's a really insane mix. It's gonna be fun for some people, not fun for others. Let me know your opinions down below. That's pretty much the entire character. Thanks for Ubisoft for letting me have early access and testing out these characters, and hope you guys enjoy the character and like it. Let me know if you guys are gonna buy it, because this is really stirring some things up. I can tell you that much, because this is kind of like out of left field for Ubisoft in my opinion. I thought they would just go the safe route and add dodge cancel characters with at least 20 mechanics with every single weapon, and at least have different stances, but they didn't. They went with something completely different, actually. Honestly, he feels a bit hard to get used to. He's not your conventional For Honor character at all. You know, you're limited to a few moves. He kind of feels like a pre-CCU character, like a Lawbringer, who didn't even have, well, Shigoku didn't even have a lot of different chain attacks. It was actually hilarious, man. Some characters didn't have light to heavy at all, or heavy into lights, and that was actually ridiculous. And this is what this character feels like. He is a relic of the past, and they're bringing him back to the front of For Honor. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys. I'll be streaming the Warriors Den, and I'll be streaming the launch day, so I'll be seeing you there. Bye bye. See you later.